Hello, I'm Charlie Brooker and you're watching Weekly Wipe, a programme all about things that are happening. Things like this.
Heartbreaking and tragic scenes in Coronation Street as Hayley Cropper drinks some funeral juice.
Already impassioned campaigners are calling for the right to die to be extended to Emmerdale. Rubber-faced funny man Vladimir Putin accused of homophobia as he says gays are welcome at the Winter Olympics as long as they keep away from children. To be fair, there is nothing worse than a predatory skedophile hanging around the nursery slopes. Labour's Ed Miliband reinvents himself as a tough guy willing to take on the banks. Having vowed to battle apparently insurmountable financial forces, his hard man message was only slightly undermined a few hours later when he made an unconvincing attempt to enjoy a beer.
Great.
That's the kind of thing that's been going on, but we start with political scandal.
The political sex scandal has an illustrious history dating back to the Profumo affair, and since then it's provided countless guffaws and lurid but hilarious headlines detailing the romps, bonks and trysts of people you'd rather not picture in any kind of bedroom scenario whatsoever.
But the latest example isn't much fun, involving allegations about Lord Reynard, which he denies and refuses to apologise for, thus putting Nick Clegg in a compromising position.
Reynard's now been suspended and the whole thing's playing out in the media in a bizarre civil war.
The Lib Dems are currently investigating whether Lord Reynard has brought the party into disrepute or whether it's actually got any repute left to diss. It's more of an ugly mess than a farce, really. For a proper old-fashioned political sex scandal, you have to switch channels, or rather cross channels. To France. Yes, France, a nation so romantic it's got a type of kissing named after it, almost expects its political figures to have mistresses. It's practically a tradition. De Gaulle was the town bike, Jacques Chirac was a filthy slut, and Francois Mitterrand was famed for filling every woman he met with what the French call happiness and we call a penis. Look, he's going for one now. Get your filthy paws off her. That's our queen! But now a contemporary slap and tickle scandal seemed to be brewing around President Hollande, who stands accused of cheating on the First Lady with a second lady, like a sort of French Lee Ryan. The First Lady was in hospital and the news was clinically clear about why.
The First Lady is still in hospital with a broken heart.
Oh God, that's awful. They can't treat a broken heart because it isn't a medical condition. These provocative magazine images had prompted the scandal. Hollande apparently pictured outside the actress's apartment. They didn't actually get a clear shot of his face, just his helmet, which is the sort of thing they can put on front pages in France. They're no better than animals. Actually, looking at this, how do they know it's not just one of Daft Punk? The British news gleefully recounted how the French public had snapped up every copy of the accusing mag, leaving none left for them.
Bonjour, monsieur. Do you have any copies of Closer magazine?
I'm very sorry, I sold all.
You sold all of them this morning?
Oh, in that case, I'll just have a copy of Le Razzle. And what's French for hand cream? Confusingly for British reporters, outside of the magazine itself, the French media claimed it wasn't too interested in the alleged affair.
If it's private, it's private. I don't care what François Hollande or anybody else is doing in his bedroom.
It soon became clear the people most interested in where the Parisian Press put his penis were the British, who found the French nonchalance incroyable.
Are you interested in the love life of François Hollande?
Not at all. Not at all.
I don't believe you.
Because they couldn't get footage of French citizens waving their fists and shouting "Zut alors!", the British hacks had to pad out their reports avec le filler. One perky Channel 4 news reporter painstakingly reconstructed the president's drive to the alleged love nest, stepping off the bike and walking straight up to the front door, but then foolishly stopped short of the interesting bit where he'd get to make love to a beautiful actress.
The problem for President Hollande is that he looks even more ridiculous than I do.
I'd say it's about evens. There were also some startling pre-watershed glimpses of suspiciously post-watershed cartoons, and stock news report filler item 6B, footage of a crappy knocked up in 5 minutes computer game wheeled out like it's a big deal. It's not even a good French video game. It's no Super Marie Antoinette. Back in the studio, the French insistence on respecting privacy was irritating the British media so much they invited French journalists on to harangue them in the only language they understand: arrogance.
Why are the French press so deferential?
Some UK anchors apparently spent so long speaking to the French, the Gallic influence rubbed off on them and they started acting French themselves.
But, you know, a French president has an affair.
But Hollande couldn't hide forever because he was scheduled to give a live press conference. Rolling News wiped the schedule clean to watch the president squirm in the spotlight. Anything could happen. He could break down and beg forgiveness or start f***ing the actress live on stage. He is French. Or, as he'd been scheduled to do all along, he might speak at length about French economic policy, the big T's. Although, of course, in French, even that's erotic.
We're talking about going faster, going further, accelerating, and going in more depth. But we've got to ensure that this growth be as vigorous as possible.
In the end, the First Lady came out of hospital, the Second Lady threatened to sue the magazine, and the President carried on just as unpopular as he'd been before. And what had we, the British, learned? Nothing, except that ultimately the French don't seem to care who the President's f***ing, as long as he's not f***ing the country.
There's this sort of library channel where the BBC keep their old man music programmes. And it had this amazing detective thing called The Bridge on it. It's a bit like Sherlock, which is brilliantly made, but instead of it being about a hobbit and a wizard, it's about a sort of giant and a robot woman. He's sort of angry and she's sort of distant, but if you put them together, they sort of balance out and make one person.
It was a bit weird because it had George Galloway in it, and Dennis Waterman, and like Stuart Lee, but younger and less funny. But they were all foreign them, not real them.
It's about these crimes that are happening miles away, but are still exciting, so you still sort of care. And just like Sherlock, it's got these clever words that come up, so you know what's happening. Like, each time someone speaks, it explains what's going on. Sometimes there were words telling you what they'd said, even though you knew what they'd said, because they'd said it using real words anyway.
For fuck's sake. It's hard concentrating on the word bits with all the picture bits at the top. I think maybe the way to do it is to watch it once for the words and then again for the pictures.
The man policeman's Danish and the woman policeman's Swedish, but even though they speak two different languages, they don't need subtitles to talk to each other because they're both foreign. So, like, even though I need subtitles to understand them, they wouldn't need subtitles to understand me because to them, I'm foreign, which they are too.
They're trying to catch these, like, Beatrix Potter people who are killing people to make a trendy point about politics to impress The Guardian. It feels really new because, as well as the robot one, it's got YouTube in it and computers, you know, and a bit where a man's having sex with someone. And if you look, you can see his balls for, like, no reason.
Thing is, it's not a nice foreign land like in a holiday programme. It's really cold and there's all murders. And you can tell from looking at it that there's hardly any colours allowed over there because the light burns the fjords. So everything's grey and murky and muted and sort of ominous. It's probably less depressing being murdered in Scandinavia than anywhere else on Earth because even as you were dying, you'd think, oh well, at least it'll be warm in heaven and they'll let me wear red trousers if I want. And they probably speak English like in proper places.
The first series of The Bridge was really good. So they made it again over here as The Tunnel, which was really good as well. And to make it a fair swap, the Danish remade Take Me Out, and theirs was just as good as ours was. In fact, actually sort of better because it's happening further away.
Weather! And UKIP's David Sylvester causes outrage by claiming the recent biblical weather has been caused by God punishing the UK for allowing same-sex marriage.
Making him the only UKIP councillor to actively believe in man-made climate change. The councillor apparently wrote to David Cameron to warn him, but Cameron ignored his letter, or maybe just didn't understand it because he doesn't speak 12th century maniac. In informative scenes, Sky immediately dispatched a reporter to the councillor's waterlogged hometown to badger the godless locals.
Are the floods in Henley and around the rest of the country a sign from God?
I don't even believe in God myself.
Boo! Drown the heretic! Apparently, the deluge is part of a sinister gay plot to fill Britain with water, so everyone has to wear rubber all the time. And the streets will fill with water, making cruising mandatory. When the news came a-knocking in confrontational scenes, the man himself seemed oddly reluctant to speak to the media, possibly because he believes their heathen camera machines will steal his soul.
I'm not giving any more interviews, I'm afraid. Thank you.
Are your views an embarrassment to the party?
UKIP King Nigel Farage suspended the councillor and announced an immediate clear-out of UKIP members with crazy outmoded views, a complex process that involves highlighting the membership list and then hitting delete. Now, Scotland. Should it stay or go, or only see the rest of Britain at weekends? Scottish independence has got a lot of people thinking, none more so than our resident inquisitive human, Limmy. This is Limmy.
It's a big year for Scotland, the referendum. Do we want to be ruled by this pack of liars or that? I couldn't decide until I saw David Cameron.
So this year, a message go out from England, Wales and Northern Ireland to everyone in Scotland. We want you to stay.
And I thought, oh, that's nice. But I'm out. Does he seriously think I'd do a single thing he wants? With that face? No, I don't know what Davy Boy's got planned to make Britain great again, but I want out. Anyway, I headed out to try and make Victoria Park great again. I was sending the council another video to get them to do something about any fences, man.
Just one lick of paint. Please, please, please.
It was hopeless. I felt like David Cameron. Do you know he'd have me a lot persuading us to stay if he told us to piss off?
Wait a minute.
Reverse psychology.
We want you to stay.
Or does he? Does he really think we do a thing he says? With that face? Honestly, look at it. No, he knows. He's got to know. And he wants us to bolt. I don't know what he's got planned to make Britain great again, but I want in.
We want you to stay.
Nice try. And by the way, Davey, I know you're watching, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking of flipping this one more time. You're thinking, do you know he'd have me a lot persuading us to stay if he told us to piss off? Huh? You're thinking of maybe doing this, or maybe this. But sorry, mate.
We want you to stay.
First answer counts. Anyway, as for the council...
Do not paint this fence. Under no circumstances are you to paint this fence.
Food now and cookery shows are, of course, a TV staple, but there's so many of them, they need a gimmick these days to succeed. A gimmick like, spoons! Yes, spoons, courtesy of Channel 4's upmarket kitchen contest The Taste, in which former celebrity courtroom star Nigella Lawson has to lick a spoon clean alongside rock and roll chef Anthony Bourdain and the world's Frenchest Frenchman, Ludo Fonfifon.
I don't know, it's your kitchen, fais-moi something for that, putain!
The idea is the contestants have to win the judges over by creating a fun-size helping of creative food. They should have called it Master Spoon. Some of the contestants create miniature masterpieces, while others produce the most preposterous shit to grace a spoon since Uri Geller. Having sweated and toiled to fill a small ceramic ladle, like your dad did in the Navy, the contestants then sit back nervously to see if the judges can swallow their food without choking, something Nigella should find far easier now Charles Saatchi's not around. Incidentally, and apropos of nothing, I just thought of a great joke about a famous art collector framing his wife, which I can't repeat for legal reasons. Anyway, spoons are all very well, but they're not a very adventurous cookery gimmick. What's really missing on TV is a food show incorporating far-right politics, as exhibited in the recent bizarre cookery video posted online by the BNP's Nick Griffin. It's just like an episode of Master Race, Chef.
Essential cooking tool, wooden spoon.
It's weird watching him in his notably well-equipped kitchen, and refreshing to see he doesn't deny the existence of ovens. Disappointingly, he doesn't cook chicken supremacist or egg-fried Reich or swastika masala, but a simple stew, which he cooks in one big melting pot.
Let's have a look at the contents of that pan there. Just taking on a little bit of colour.
Obviously, he likes his ingredients locally sourced, although he's going to be furious when he finds out those British white potatoes are descended from South American immigrants. Still, it's not just cookery tips, there's opinion too.
So don't let people tell you that you have to have huge numbers of immigrants to have good cooking.
OK, although to be fair, no one's ever told anyone that.
We've got a Mexican restaurant in a town not that far from here. The place isn't swamped with Mexicans. You take the recipe, that's really all you need.
Oh, you know, I do wish he wouldn't talk while he's chopping ingredients. Look at the clunky way he wields the knife. I keep worrying he might not hurt himself. Then finally, the meal is ready to eat. To be fair, even if some of the diners look less than thrilled to be there, the end product looks good. Maybe he should have been a chef. Still, cookery's losses, bigotry's gain. And if you don't like the dishes he serves up, send them back to where they came from. Of course, those who prefer their cookery a little less politically controversial and a lot more cash can always ingest the swaggering and breezy laid-back Sunday Brunch with prime geezer Tim Lovejoy. It's about 3 hours long, but don't worry if you can't be fussed to sit through all of it. Mr. Jake Yapp has condensed it down to 99 seconds, as he'll demonstrate now. Start the clock.
Good morning, welcome to Sunday Brunch with me, Tim Lovejoy. It's a completely different format to Something for the Weekend, which I hosted in the same slot on BBC Two. That was all about celebs and cooking. This is all about food and famous people. Anyway, it's no biggie, it's only telly. It's just a couple of top blokes slightly too old for their low-rise jeans hanging out for classic bands. Look at me, I'm just leaning on the set, owning the space. Scouse Sidekick, what are you cooking up for us today?
Well, today I'm doing French toast with you.
All right, mate, that's enough of you. Back to me, only joking. He's laughing. He's laughing as well. I'm the new Des Lynam when you think about it. I'm just so bloody laid back. All right, let's do some auto cue. Watch my eyes glaze over. Remedial time. Our guests today were famous in a pop group around 1997. All right, welcome, guys. Just hang out, help yourselves do anything. My parents aren't back till September and I'll be at uni by then. Anyway, let's interview you. Didn't bother to read the notes they sent over last night. I'll just wing it. What's the most... Who are you? OK, I've completely lost control of the interview now. Good job the sound man's remembered that I'm supposed to be in charge. Time to say something blindingly obvious as though it's something only my keenly analytical mind could have worked out. Music's really important, isn't it? Speaking of which, here's a bit of a pop video we've been checking out on MySpace. They're called Coldplay, and we think they're going places. Here it is. Time now for me to stand next to Simon while he cooks, all a bit awkward, like a neighbour standing in your kitchen at your New Year's party. Later on, Simon will stand awkwardly next to our guest chef, keeping that whole redundant bloke standing about vibe going. Well, we've got to the end of the programme and no one's worked out what my role is. Time for a low-key, no eye contact finale. See you later.
Culture! And in unforgettable scenes, this morning screens a bizarre live test in which Britain's foremost and indeed only rumpologist demonstrates how to analyse people's backsides.
When I was focusing on Kelly's bottom, it's the right cheek that was telling me all the sort of past things. The left cheek is all the future things.
Which, as I suspected, makes the present a shithole.
To test her buttercological skills, they ran a sort of on-air reverse glory hole guessing game.
They're very creative and very fun to be around. Can be a bit serious at times.
You know, looking at this, you might think this morning's just taking the piss, but it isn't, although some of its guests are.
Now, how do you start your day? Do you like an orange juice?
I'm a coffee guy.
You're a coffee guy. Maybe some of you are tea people. Well, not this couple. They kick off their day with a glass of their own urine.
Yes, in a thrilling episode, This Morning interviewed a happy couple who drink their own urine. Not to save money, they drink it for health reasons, none of which are visible or indeed exist.
What difference did it make to you?
Well, just generally, it helped balance my head. Like, my emotions were a lot calmer and I could just think clearer.
Clear enough to think, I know, I'll drink my own piss.
Is it an acquired taste? So could you ever try each other's?
It's not an acquired taste at all, no, it's not a taste you want to acquire.
So you don't like the taste of it?
I mean, when you begin, it smells and tastes like wee.
So it's socially unacceptable and it tastes horrible. But on the plus side, it's also frowned upon by doctors. Specifically, a teledoc who looks like Prince playing Doctor Who, doing his best to balance the piss-taking with medical fact.
It is not medically recommended, especially if you're unwell or on medication. We would not recommend it.
It had been medically recommended.
Yeah, I guess it all boils down really to who you want to believe. The qualified medical professional who tells you not to drink piss, or the hairy bloke in the stripy jumper who does. Things were inevitably building towards the money shot in which the happy couple would go on the piss, necking a glass of homebrew Pinot Grigio live on air, which was probably enough to get viewers experimenting with swallowing their own vomit. Oh, look at that. You know what that is? That is Cameron's Britain. Cameron's Britain, everybody. Inevitably, this informative item prompted some lively viewer feedback, which tight-panted bulge displayer Jeff Brazier did his best to reel off quickly before he had some kind of weird fit.
Zoe says if that's what they want to do, then let them. People are too quick to judge. Now...
Feels so good.
Sticking with urine and adding some excrement, this week also saw the US TLC channel air stomach-churning scenes in the gruesome My Strange Addiction, which showcased a woman with a penchant for sniffing and chewing used nappies.
I love it. It just tastes amazing. I have one while I'm cooking in the kitchen, I have one in my drawers, I have one while I'm sleeping.
Oh, that really put me off my piss. To be fair, this celebratory urine drinking isn't the most upsetting fluid intake scene I've witnessed on ITV recently. That'd be Monday's harrowing Coronation Street, in which Hayley Cropper drank the ultimate bedtime nightcap. Come on, everyone. Down in one, down in one, down in one. Still, it was nice of her to give him a hand job on the way out.
I love you.
Pop now and crooning haircutted pebble Justin Bieber's been in trouble with his alleged egg-throwing hijinks providing startling fodder for noisy entertainment shows.
A felony investigation into accusations that the superstar singer pelted his neighbor's home with eggs.
Frankly, I don't care what he does with eggs as long as he's not fertilising them. But are pop stars out of control? Well, US comedian and shambles Doug Stanhope thinks they're not out of control enough, and he'll say so now.
I'm Doug Stanhope, and that's why I drink.
You know what? Anytime you complain about the kids today, you know you're walking on dangerous ground of just being a pathetic old fuck. But I think I'm right. This is the weakest generation in recorded history. Justin Bieber made the news for pissing into a mop bucket in the back room of a nightclub.
TMZ got hold of some film of Justin Bieber relieving himself in a mop bucket.
That makes news today?
That's the coolest spot to piss. You know, you'll forever remember that.
That's so indicative of what a shit generation this is, where that's the rock and roll lifestyle. Oh, no, you did not Led Zeppelin chucking fucking TVs out of hotel windows while the drummer is dead in the pool. Oh no, Justin Bieber peed in a mop bucket. It was caught on a cell phone camera.
And I know every generation complains about the new kids coming up after them. But in the past, it was always complaining that the new kids were too out of control and taking too many chances. Oh, these kids today, they're smoking the marijuana reefer blunts. We're gonna be the first generation that's the opposite of that, where we'll still complain about the kids today, but in the opposite fashion.
Look at these fucking kids. We used to do crank off of titty dancers and shit. No one got hurt. It was a good time. These fucking sissies, they drink a Red Bull for some pep and some spirit. And the closest they've ever come to a fist fight is on a message board.
You looking at my girlfriend? I'm gonna unfriend you from my Facebook registry. No, you have some block user coming in your future. I better delete the part, because I might get my wall shut down.
Wildlife and a string of depressing news reports describes how a Texan hunting society has auctioned a permit to shoot and kill a rare Namibian black rhino.
The rhino is a magnificent horny beast, sadly destined to be unceremoniously mounted over a stranger's fireplace, just like your mum. Corey Knowlton, the man who paid $350,000 for the permit, outlined his reasoning in a penetrating interview.
I'm a hunter. I want to experience a black rhino. I want to be intimately involved with a black rhino.
Sorry, what did that permit allow you to do again? In emotional scenes, Knowlton explained that shooting the black rhino is in fact the best way to protect the black rhino.
The fact of the matter is, we raised $350,000 for the black rhino. It's the most that ever been raised, and it's absolutely going to conservation.
Yes, and with fewer rhinos to spend it on, that money will go even further.
So we're just not going in there and saying, hey, we're going on a rhino hunt and, you know, here, have a beer, we're gonna go find a rhino. I mean, no, it is a scientific process.
Specifically, it's an experiment to find out what happens when a rhino gets exposed to lead.
He says the hunt will also be for the good of the herd by targeting an older, aggressive male past reproduction.
But the news prompted a barrage of death threats from people who wanted to kill him.
Sick human
The
trap.
death threats started
I hope
coming.
you die slowly and painful.
Don't look at them as death threats, look at them as conservationists targeting an older, aggressive male past reproduction.
Still, despite the outrage, the news made clear he's undaunted and proud.
In a way, we won, and conservation won, and the black rhino won.
And it will celebrate that win with a nice lie down and a rot. Tainted nostalgia, and there are testing times for yet another fondly remembered TV icon from yesteryear. Yes, once upon a time, millions enjoyed these lovably manipulative adverts in which chimps carried out roadworks or dressed as Clockwork Orange characters and lugged furniture around.
Do you know the piano's on my foot?
You hum it, son. I'll play it.
We now know that when the cameras weren't rolling, they behaved like animals. Not that being taught to act like humans did them any favours, as a heartbreaking report on Daybreak painfully revealed.
Now, the chimps played the part of the Tips family, and the zookeepers here say that they did enjoy walking and talking like us, but it was after the adverts that they had real problems integrating them back into chimp society.
Just like Ross Kemp after EastEnders. Fortunately, the chimps have now recovered enough to enjoy traditional primate pastimes like doing nothing and putting shit in their mouths. Ah, Cameron's Britain. I hope you're proud, David Cameron. That is your Britain. Of course, now we're more enlightened than when these upsetting scenes were filmed. Today, we simply wouldn't force a basic creature to dress and behave like a human against its will, except maybe in those harrowing and tragic Ben Fogle Tai-Fu ads. Oh, it shouldn't be allowed. Of course, Charles Darwin taught us monkeys and mankind are very much alike. Tomorrow will be 175 years since Darwin became a Fellow of the Royal Society, so to celebrate that and hard-hitting science in general, Philomena Cunk is about to explore evolution before your very face in this week's Moments of Wonder.
It's almost unbelievable that before Charles Darwin invented evolution in 1859, no one had ever evolved. Without him, none of us would be here today, except in the form of fossils or gibbons. The story goes that here in this garden in Kent, Darwin saw an apple fall from a tree and wondered if there was a monkey up there. And if so, where that monkey might have come from. Darwin was one of the most famous men of his age, like Paddy McGuinness is now, except Darwin had a beard, which Paddy McGuinness doesn't, unless they use CGI to paint it out, which they probably don't because it's expensive. Even though it's obviously just boring today, The Origin of Species was the biggest sensation of its age, thanks to the twist ending in which Darwin revealed everyone on the planet had been made out of monkey meat all along. It caused a battle between science and the church that still rages today, although you apparently don't see them fighting like this because it's only a metaphorical battle. Even today, many people still don't believe in evolution, but maybe a science man can put them right. Hello, science man. Who are you and what are you an expert in or on?
I'm Mark Thomas and I'm a Professor of Evolutionary Genetics at University College London.
What did people do before evolution?
Well, there weren't any people before evolution. I mean, life started evolving about 4 billion years ago.
If we came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys?
Because some of those monkeys that lived a long time ago turned into other monkeys that we see today, like chimp monkeys and so on.
All right. So the monkeys that didn't turn into humans, they must be gutted that they didn't turn into humans. Right, sometimes when I watch these past life hypnosis programmes on satellite channels, all the people on those, they're always ladies in waiting or gladiators, they're never monkeys. Why is that?
Probably because they don't actually remember their past lives. It's probably not true.
But I find it easier to believe that I was a lady in waiting than a monkey.
Well, it's maybe easy to believe that your ancestors were ladies in waiting, but I don't see the problem between believing both that your ancestors were ladies in waiting a few hundred years ago and before that were monkeys.
Ladies in waiting. Thanks. Because evolution can't be seen, it's hard to believe in, like electricity or skeletons. But one day, maybe we'll evolve eyes that can see evolution, and that'll prove it's real. Next week on Moments of Wonder, I'll be finding out where clouds go at night.
Well, that's about all we've got time for this week. Until next time, when hopefully you come back, go away.
Tomorrow night at 10, Jack Whitehall, Reginald D. Hunter and Victoria Wood are answering Stephen Fry's QI questions. And there's live tennis in the morning here on BBC Two with Nadal against Federer in the Australian Open semi-finals from 8:15.